Hello, it's me, back again with our historical thinking. But this time, we're doing contextualization instead of sourcing, because you're already champions at sourcing. Stars. Okay, so for contextualization, here are our questions that we are going to be focusing on as we read through documents. When and where was the document created? And that's more like we already answered that up in sourcing, right? But that's like we were saying like very specific, 1865 in Louisiana. This is referring to like kind of what's happening like around the time that we're talking about. So it's post-Civil War. That's when and where. Post-Civil War in the South. That's what we're talking about, more broad. Okay. What was different then? What was the same? And how might the circumstances in which the document was created affect its content? Okay. So you should be able to, as students, understand how context and background information influences the content of the document, and also recognize that documents are products of particular points in time. So, yes, the document we are looking at is pretty racist, but it's just telling us what was going on at that point in time. We don't have to agree with it for it to be an accurate depiction. Yep. And then again, we will come back to our prompts, which I have written on our other page. So let's get to our document. We're using the same one. Here we go. And the great thing is, we have already read this. Yeah? So we don't have to read it again. Excellent. We only have to read it once. So for contextualization, I dare you to try and say it at home. It's harder than it sounds. So we're saying, when and where was the document created? That's our first question. And like I said, we're in post-Civil War South, which is a crazy time to be in, right? So the context of this document, we have to be thinking about what's going on in post-Civil War South. And that is a lot of racism, a lot of trying to keep Black people still under some kind of control. What was different then and what was the same? So what was different then was we just exited a period of slavery, right? So they're trying to adjust to this whole new structure in their society. They no longer have free labor. So they have to come up with all these new forms of labor and control in their society. So that's what was different. What was the same? There is still, if you guys have been following the news this summer, there is still racism. There is still prejudice going around in this country. So I guess we can relate prejudice against Black people. There is still some of that going on, unfortunately. Okay, and then how might the circumstances in which the document was created affect its content? So obviously this is created right after the Civil War, and the Civil War is fought because South, if we're boiling it down, the South wants to keep slavery, to keep their economy the way it has been for years. And the North is like, maybe we should not do that. Maybe we should get rid of slavery, right? So, if this was created in 2020, this would not fly, right? That's how we need to think about this. If Louisiana was like, hey, 2020, it's 2020, here's the laws that we want to create, there would be a huge stink about it. This would not be allowed to happen. because our society has evolved past this. But in the time that it was created, this is perfectly acceptable, and there are black codes like all over the South at this point in time. So it's not just in Opelousas, Louisiana. This is a norm for a lot of southern cities. Okay, so we're gonna go answer our contextualization questions. And context is important. You don't really need to highlight anything or really look at the document for context. It's more outside of the document what's happening. Okay. So contextualization. Based on the background information, I understand this document differently because they are adjusting to new social norms and federal laws, because on a federal level, slavery is illegal now, and that's what they're adjusting to. They're adjusting to new social norms and federal laws after the Civil War. The author might have been influenced by, so remember in sourcing we said the author is probably white men in Opelousas, yeah. So they might have been people who served in the Confederate Army, right? So maybe they were soldiers, maybe they had sons who were soldiers, maybe they had friends who were soldiers in the Confederacy, and a lot of people lost their lives fighting for this cause that the South wanted. So they might have been influenced by relatives serving in the Confederate Army, maybe losing loved ones. How they were raised. Upbringing is very influential. And if you are raised, because slavery's only been ended for like a year at this point, so if you were raised on a plantation with slaves, to think that slaves are okay, this is a complete shift in how you are living your life, right? Okay, I think we're good with that one. And then this document might not give me the whole picture because, let's think outside the box here. Maybe, if I didn't know this already, maybe black codes only exist in Opelousas. They don't. There are black codes everywhere. But, say they did. This document might not give me the whole picture because maybe black codes, let's say, only exist here. Maybe we need to look at the perspective of a freedman and what they think of this document at this time. And if you can think of any others, you would write those down. Okay, so that is contextualization.